Hi, it's Sunday the 3rd of March 2024. I'm spending a few months walking from Land's End to John O'Groats. I'm on my way to Padstow today. I'm following the southwest coast path. There's a very unsettled weather at the moment. One minute it's sunshine and next minute there's a very squally shower. I'm hoping there will be a bit of sunnier this afternoon. So today I've just got a 40-mile walk to Padstow. Then I'll be heading towards Bodmin and then to Bodmin Moor. I'm just approaching Morgan Porth with its very lovely beach. I'm approaching a very picturesque piece of coastline, a very rocky coastline known as the Bedruthen Steps. Just arriving at Porthcothan. This group of rocks is called Minnow Island. Just approaching Constantine Bay. It's very choppy sea again today. Just arrived at Constantine Bay. Lovely big golden beach. So I think I'm going to find a cafe here, just sit down and warm up for a little bit and then head over to Padstow. Just arrived at Harland Bay. And this is where I leave the coast path and head inland over to Padstow, and then tomorrow I'll be following the camel trail to Bodmin. I think that's just a 12-mile walk. That's quite a nice flat walk tomorrow. Just arrived at Padstow Harbour. It's quite busy here at the moment. Lots of people here, even in March. So I'm just going to have a wander around the harbour and then go up to my hotel for the night. Oh, I hope the weather is like this tomorrow. I think it's going to be quite wet tomorrow morning, and then clearing up in the afternoon, but it's a quite easy walk I've got tomorrow. So I'm heading up to my hotel now and then heading onwards to Bodmin tomorrow. So until tomorrow morning, good night. It's going to be a bit wet this morning, but it's clearing up this afternoon. But it's a very easy walk. I'm following the Camel Trail today, and that's a disused railway line which goes from Padstow to Bodmin. And I've got about a 13-mile walk today, so it's all on the flat. Should be quite a pleasant walk. And this is the start of the Camel Trail. So my plans for the next few days: tonight I'm staying in a hotel in Bodmin, and then I'm going to spend 6 days walking across Bodmin Moor and Dartmoor to Exeter. Then when I get to Exeter, I'm going to quickly pop home on the train and do a kit swap, just swap some bits and pieces around, and then come back to Exeter on the train the next day. Then I should be okay to do the rest of the jog walk in one go. Oh, nice to be getting close to Bodmin now. It's been chucking it down all morning, but I'm about a mile away from my hotel now, so I'll be able to get into a warm room and warm up a bit. I've just arrived in the centre of Bodmin. I'm not really going to have a look around because I don't really think there's that much to see in Bodmin, and also I'm just going to go back to the hotel and dry out all my clothes because I'm still got very wet clothes and boots. So I'm just going to do some shopping for tomorrow, and then tomorrow morning I'll be heading out onto Bodmin Moor. So I'm just going to go through the high street and stock up for stuff for tomorrow. So after yesterday's little deluge, the weather forecast is much nicer today, which has worked out quite well because I'll be camping on Bodmin Moor tonight. So that should be quite a nice, quiet, pleasant night on the moors. So today's plan, I'm walking 16 miles up to Cheese Ring Tor. And on the way, I hope to visit it's a Neolithic portal dolmen called Trefethy Coit. That's Callywith Woods just over there. So I'm heading down into a wooded valley. So the first part of the walk, I'll be following a footpath along a stream, heading to St Neot today, I think. Just approaching St. Neot, which was the National Village of the Year in 2004. I'm heading towards an ancient carved stone called the Donette Stone. So hundreds of years ago, in fact going right back to the beginning of the Iron Age, around 750 BC, there was a huge Celtic tribe living in what is now East Cornwall, Devon and parts of Somerset. And the name, I think I'll probably get this wrong, I think they're called the Domnomni or something very similar to that. And the kingdom was known as Domnomnia. I think it was a name that the Romans gave it. And they were here for several centuries, and this stone, it dates back to the 9th century, and it is dedicated to King Donette, and he was one of the kings of the Domnoni tribe. And I'm going to have a quick look at it. It's a very beautiful stone, very intricate carvings on it, so I should be there in about 20 minutes or so. There's a very useful information board here. So there's the Donette Stone, and next to it is the other half stone. And when these were built, they would have been very impressive carved crosses with a lot of Celtic designs on them. And there's some writing engraved into the Donette Stone. I'm just going to see if I can find that now. So on this side of this stone, it's very difficult to make out, but there's a Latin inscription, and it says Donette rogivat pro anima, and that translates as Donette begs prayers for the sake of his soul. It's difficult to see in this light now, unfortunately. So now I'm going to pop over to Treveffi Quoit. Just arrived at Treveffi Quoit. I was looking at the English Heritage website on the way over, and they believe that this is a very ancient construction. It could date back to the Neolithic period, around 3500 BC to 2500 BC. So it's definitely a feat of engineering how they did it, because of course this is a time before they had any metal tools. They were just using flints and deer antlers as tools. And English Heritage reckon that the capstone weighs around 20 tons. And I was doing a bit of calculation on the way over. If an average person could, say, lift or drag 50 kilogram, which is quite heavy, they would have needed about 400 people to sort of drag this thing or carry it along. But I think around that time, these would have been the first farmers. They would have been settling down. They would have had a lot of livestock, so they must have used a lot of animals to drag it along. I've just put my backpack there to give an idea of how large it is. So these quoits, or these dolmens, these were most probably burial chambers, and when they built them, they would have been probably surrounded, covered in earth. So it would have been a big earthen mound. And I think there's 5 large stones still upright. There's one that's collapsed. And so this would probably have been the focal point of the community, because they revered their ancestors. They probably believe that the ancestors would have been in contact with the gods, and so they would have put the bones of their ancestors in here, and then this would have been an important part of the local community. And again, they've put a very useful information board about the history of the construction. So the quoit is 2.7 meters high, or about 9 feet. But standing here looking at it, it's really impressive construction, considering the tools that they had in those days. Right, time for my last little walk. So from here, I'm heading up to the Cheese Ring Torqu on Bodmin Moor. That's about a 3-mile walk from here. It's still quite early, I think. I've got plenty of time because it's quite a popular tourist attraction, and it's quite close to the hurlers, and there's a little place called Minions. So I think there'll probably be a lot of people up there because it's quite a nice day today. I just mentioned the hurlers then. The hurlers is a name given to 3 Bronze Age stone circles, 3 circles adjacent to each other, just on the edge of Bodmin Moor. And that's on part of my walk up to the Cheese Ring Torqu, so I'll be going and have a look at those now. Quite close to where the hurlers are now. So again, there's a very useful information board here. So the hurlers are a late Neolithic or early Bronze Age ceremonial monument. So I guess that would be around 2500 BC-ish kind of time. And it says that it has been suggested that the stone circles mark a processional route that ran between the Neolithic hilltop settlement at Stows Hill to the north, which is where I'm going now, and Carradon Hill Barrow Cemetery to the south. So just going to have a look now. The reason they're called the hurlers is some old folklore story that there was a group of people playing hurling, the sport of hurling up here on a Sunday, and as a punishment, God turned them to stone. I'm just going to head out to the top one and look down. There's also to the west, there should be a couple of stones called the Pipers, and apparently the same fate was in store for those, because apparently there was 2 people playing pipes on a Sunday, and again they were turned to stone as a punishment. So law and order was pretty strict in Cornwall in those days. So again, there's lots of reasons why people would have built so many stone circles back then. I'm not sure how many still survive. I think the majority of them are in Britain, Ireland and Brittany in France. And I think that there's still over 1,000 of them today, so I'll have to Google and find out how many stone circles still exist in Britain and Ireland. But when they built them, there must have been thousands of them. About 100 metres away, just over there, there's another old engine house from the tin mining era. I'm hoping to actually have a look at that tomorrow. When I come down from the tour, I'll have a look at that. There might be an information board there to have some history about it. And now I'm just wandering up to Stows Hill, and the Cheese Ring Torqu is on the hill, I think. This is the famous Cheese Ring Torqu. I think it got that name because I don't know anything about cheese making, but there's a device called a cheese ring which compresses the cheese during production, and this is what it looks like. It looks like it's about to topple over any minute, and I guess one day it will. So the Torqus on Bodmin Moor and Dartmoor, these were formed around 270 million years ago, because back then the whole of the southwest peninsula of England was one big chain of volcanic action, and so a lot of the molten lava was brought up to the surface, cooled down over millions of years and formed into these granite Torqus. in a minute I'm going to look for somewhere to camp. I think it's going to be dark in about a couple of hours. There's still some people up here, so I'm just going to make a coffee and then it'll start getting dark, then I'll put my tarp up for the night. So I think this is looking north and about northeast-ish, and I think this is where I'll be heading tomorrow. I can just see the old engine house where I'll be visiting tomorrow. I found a nice quiet camping spot. It's in the old abandoned quarry. There's an old abandoned quarry right next to Stowe's Hill. But of course the problem with camping in a quarry, the ground's quite hard. It's quite rocky, but I managed to get the pegs in. But it's very well sheltered from any winds tonight. So as usual, it's time to settle down now, and then tomorrow it's all downhill to Tabbystock. I'll be staying in a hotel then, and then heading out onto Dartmoor. So until then, good night. Well, that was quite a nice quiet night camping in the quarry. A little bit chilly, but the warmer days are coming, so looking forward to that. So in a minute I'm just going to pack up, and then I'm just walking down to Tabbystock today, which is not a very interesting walk. I'm just walking through country lanes, but I'll be crossing over the River Tamar over a 15th century bridge called the Horse Bridge, so that should be quite picturesque. So now I'm just going to pack up and then head off. Right, that's everything packed, so time to start heading to Devon. Just approaching the old engine house, which I saw last night on the way up to the tour. Just going to see if there's an information board close by. No, there's no information board, unfortunately. There's a plaque on the side, but it's too difficult to read. It must have been put up a long time ago. But I'll just have to have a Google about the building when I get to my hotel room tonight. So now it's just a walk through country lanes to the Tamar River. I think I'm just approaching the Tamar Valley now. I can just make out Dartmoor in the distance. So I can see what is probably Sheep's Tor, which is right on the western edge of Dartmoor. So I'm just heading down to the Horse Bridge now, and that marks the border with Cornwall and Devon. Just approaching the Horse Bridge, crossing the River Tamar. So this is where I say farewell to Cornwall and start my walk across Devon. Just up the hill from Horse Bridge, there's a public footpath, which makes a really great place to stop and have a little break and admire the view. So this is looking back towards Cornwall. So from here it's just a 5 or 6 mile walk to Tabbystock. Just arrived in the centre of Tabbystock. I'm just going to spend an hour or so just wandering around the centre. So many centuries ago there used to be a large abbey at Tabbystock, but it had quite a turbulent past. Unfortunately it's been demolished, but it was built in the 10th century, about 974 AD. And then in 997 AD there was a huge Viking attack in this area. And a few months ago I was at Lidford to the north of here when I was hiking from Oakhampton down to Plymouth, and they had the same attack there. The Vikings went that far as well, so it was quite a major attack, and the Vikings burnt the abbey down, and so they rebuilt the abbey again. And then unfortunately in the dissolution of the monasteries in the 16th century it was demolished again. I think there's still part of the abbey here now. I'm just going to try and remember which part it is. So in the town centre this is Abbey Chapel, and this was originally part of the abbey. This was the site of the Abbot's Hall, but nowadays it's a Presbyterian meeting house. This is where the abbey cloisters used to stand. And this is Court Gate, and this was the principal entrance to the abbey. I think I'm going to treat myself to a day off while I'm in Tabbystock. I'm going to spend 2 nights here because I haven't really stopped since I left Land's End, so I'm going to have a nice little break. And I think I've got quite a lot of footage now, so I'll probably upload a video tonight. So thank you very much for watching my video, and I hope to upload another one soon. Bye.